Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 24. Nauticus 27, as you very well know. The Blue Missile, as you very well know. However, we still need some more info on it, by the way. The dreaded windows. Oh my god, am I having some flipping problems with these? However, we have made a major breakthrough. I've suddenly found a little talent, and that is I've been able to braze a little bit of something, not a lot, but just enough to make it sort of successful. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Well, I've done most of it, but I'm just going to finish off a little bit. These are some tabs that we've needed to put on to these windows in order to complete the windows. Before any of that, cue that music. Okay, so we're back to where we failed last time. Well, plenty of remarks saying don't give up. I'm not giving up. I know I've been on a couple of weeks holiday. Thank you so much for all the others that have joined on board with this project. You see all the rough with the smooth. Nothing is worked out beforehand. We just suck it and see, and we get on with it, and we fail together, and we succeed together. So,
one take, Phil.
Has to interrupt. Has to put his voice into it. Right. So, here we go. As you know, we're playing with these things, and I've failed miserably on the last episode. However, I've had to address certain issues, and that is these, of course, are attached to the top of the boat, and they are attached with the top of the boat with these, which are the original ones that came off it. They weren't successful, they were pop riveted on, etc. So I was picked up from the airport by my future son-in-law, who happens to be a plumber, and he said, well, what gas are you using? So I'm using butane, I've used propane. He said, have you tried MAP gas? MAP gas burns hotter. I said, well, no, I haven't, but I've virtually given up on them, and I'm going to, I'm going to try something else. He said, well, do this, try this first and see what happens. Anyway, I did before John got here, and I managed to weld them, braze them in position, and they've held up well. So, brilliant. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to use that to seal all these joints, because over this last week, what I've done is the mitered joints around the glass weren't that brilliant to start with. In fact, I'd go as to say that this framing was way too big for the glass. So what I've done is I've trimmed these miters down and made these fit a lot more snug. So what I'm going to do, as I will show you later, is I'm going to use some marine adhesive, and I'm going to place it in there, and I'm going to squash the glass into it and use that as a form of holding them all together. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, I'm going to do a bit of brazing. Right, so stick this in the vise. I just want to put just a bead along there. That's all I want to do. Everywhere else is tight, but I just want to do it across there, because I did it over there and it's pretty good, and it's neat, because that part you will see. As you can see, I made a complete arse, to be honest. Sorry my language, but it is. You can see inside there, it looks horrible, but we're not going to see that. All we're going to see is that. But on this side, as we're driving the boat, we're going to see these bits here. So that's going to be filled. I'll make it all look pretty. but I'm just going to put a bead across there just to strengthen them. And you're going to see me fail. Oh no, no. Succeed. Right, let's get that level. Glove. Oh, I know what I have to do. I have to do that first. Right, there we go. I thank you very much. One bead. How quick was that? So, we'll let that go off. Dry naturally. I think that looks all right, don't you, John?
Wait to inspect.
Come and have a look. Don't touch it though.
Wow. Fantastic.
Well, it is for me.
Very good.
Yes. So, vast improvement. Naturally, I won't touch that side, but all being well, it should look like that. And once it's cleaned up, brushed up, then we can start filling it. We can start putting them. In fact, that's what we're going to be doing. As soon as this goes cold, we're going to start putting these around the glass, and you're going to see that very soon. Okay, so we're back outside because it's nice and light. I do apologise if you hear a little bit of wind, but it's not John and I can assure you. It is just nature. It's nice and sunny, so I thought we'd do it outside. Anyway, as I was showing you inside, these are the two brackets that are now brazed into position. And the reason for those is, imagine that's the top of the boat. You can see that that nestles nicely on the top, takes the curve, and of course it's nice and angled, so when the glass goes in, as you can see, it is angled like a windscreen is supposed to look. So what I've done is I've numbered each mitre, so it's easy for me to put them on. So that just fits onto there. I mean, obviously everything is loose at the moment, but they won't be soon. That goes on there. Number two, slots in there like so. Number three finishes that. Probably fall off, but they won't when they're stuck. So there you have it. There is starting to look like a refurbished window. Now, as I've said to you before, these were slightly too long, and I could see originally, before anything was ever done, there was always a gap, and I thought, why are the frames too wide? So I've actually chopped them down so they fit nice and snug. Now, of course, the other one that I've not even touched yet, that of course will have to be done as well, and that'll have to be chopped down. So the original roof holes that were going right through the roof obviously are going to be out of sync too. But I already knew that beforehand, and I filled them, so we'll have to drill fresh holes. But this is the reason why we have to get on with these this windscreen, because it's holding everything up. So it really was a do or die situation. We had to get these done. Anyway, as you can see, that hopefully, once I've glued everything into position, is what it's going to look like. So that's the next step, is get that done. Oh, can I just say, in the meantime, I'll nip over there, show you these other pieces. While I was messing around and whatnot, I sprayed these others a few days ago, and these are now finished, so I'll go get them.
You said it to drop off.
Right, last episode I started primering and doing the kitchen window and the bathroom window, and as you can see they are now complete. I've decided to go down the metallic route because it'll match up with everything else, and I think they've turned out really nice. As you can see, they are just fiberglass. But on this side, once they're up like so, with stainless steel screws in, I think they look pretty good. So they are done. Let's get on with the nasty bit. Okay, just before we start sticking everything together, I'm using Sikaflex 291 in black, so then it imitates like a black rubber seal all the way around the window. So that is what we're going to use to do it. Before we do that, I'll just point out the reason why you can see tape, and the reason for that is because there are holes going around various pieces of this alloy. You can see they are drilled holes. Now, for now, I'm not going to fill them, and I don't want the Sikaflex to bleed through because I'm going to fill them properly with some metal cold weld, so then I can fill those properly and then sand them down so they're nice and smooth, and then they are ready for primer. So that's the reason why this tape, when I put this black adhesive in there, it doesn't pop through these holes. So that's the reason why you'll see that various ones have got this tape there. So that's the job we're going to start now. Right, moment of truth. So we're going to start with the Sikaflex, but I'll just show you what I did. As I told you before, there's holes everywhere on these, and I have basically, if John can focus on those, just put some blue tape over these holes, purely because I don't want them to bleed through. That's the only reason. Give me a thumbs up if you've managed to get it. You have? Great. Okay. So I'm going to put a bead the whole length of each one of these, and then I'm going to start placing them in position, because after they've gone off and I've got everything sort of set up, then what I'll do is I'll mask the glass and the alloy, and then I will go down the secondary time and then push it in all the way around, use my thumb, get it all nicely bedded all in, and then peel everything off, and hopefully that will look like, well, they will be firm, and secondly they'll also look like a rubber seal. I do understand that once they are done, there's a very high chance that I'll never get these off again, but I'm prepared to do that, because if for whatever reason the glass smashes or they have an accident or whatever, I'll end up probably making some new ones, because I'm not totally enamoured with what I've got, but I need to get moving, and everything costs a lot of money, so I'm going to use what I've got for now, and this to me is the answer, but I'm going to go with the flow. Anyway, there we go. So I'm going to stick still tough. Remember doing the... Oh, there we go. It's actually a lot better, John, this one.
Just see how it's inside, Phil.
Sure.
Great job. Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. So that's the first one. Second one. Third one. And the final one. Okay. So it's a case of now just putting them together. I need to put more on this one. The secondary bead in this one, John. That's better. Right, so I think I might go down the side this time. I think I might put a secondary bead on them all. Well, it's snugging up rather nicely. Right, so they're roughly in, so it's just a case now of just getting them into a final snug position. Making sure you've got as much as you possibly can. Obviously it's bled through, but I haven't got an issue with that because once it's all set we can get a nice sharp blade and snip that off. So that's not a problem. Let's just get these nice and flush. So that wants to go, and wants to come this way a bit. Like so. That needs to go in, and that needs to go up. So. Right, that's as good as I'm going to get it. Great. Right, well, I'd love to be able to lift it up and show you, but I don't want to disturb. But can you get a rough idea of how that might just look? Yeah? Great. So, what I thought was an impossible task, and still may be, it might not work, I don't know, but I'm sure that this adhesive, I mean, I know what it's done with those rubbing straights on the side of the boat. You know, nothing moves on that now. I'm hoping that's exactly what's going to happen with this. Fingers crossed, once everything is set and nothing moves, hoping there's going to be no wobble or whatever, then we can start filling all these holes in and making them look like everything's been welded and what have you. So there we go. So next task is put this to one side, and the filthy horrible one over there, it's going to take me ages to strip that down and clean it. You don't need to see that. You'll come back when I'm at the same stage as roughly what I'm up to now, and fingers crossed it'll all be successful.
See you in 3 weeks.
No, I can't afford to see you in 3 weeks. I'm going to battle on until I've done it. So we'll see you in a few days. But you might not know what a few days is, but it doesn't matter. I promise you, we're ploughing on. That's the main thing, and I'm not giving up. See you later. Okay, so we've got another sunny day, and we're moving on from where I last left you. And that was, of course, we used that black adhesive, marine adhesive, to put these onto the glass. And as you can see, we are now pretty, well, it's pretty firm, to be honest. So everything's good. It's not fully cured. It takes quite a while for it to go off. So I'm limited to what I can do with this one until it's fully cured. But once it is, then we can move on to the next process, which is what I will show you on the next one. But as you can see, it's starting to look like a window again. And I'm very pleased with the way everything's jointed up. There's no movement in the joints. And then once we've got this fully cured, we can then start filling these holes in and making this look nice and uniformed. And then, of course, once we've got the side bits on, and then we've got it attached to the other window, which I'm going to show you, then fingers crossed, everything, we can then plough on with the rest of it. So there you go. That's what's happened to this one. As you can see, it's quite coarse on that side as well. I've started to fill the odd hole, as you can see. What I've done is I've fiberglassed inside those small holes first. As you can see, some of the residue of the fiberglass is there. And by God, that's so hard. So fiberglass first, and then I've used some marine putty to go over the top, and then I shall sand all that off and build it up so it's got a nice uniformed look. So if I just put that there for a second. So moving to this window, this I'm well and truly on the way with this one. As you can see, this window is really taking shape. I've fiberglassed. I've used some coal. I've used coal weld. I had some, and I've used most of it. So I'm waiting for another couple of tubes to arrive. So it's just hampering me a bit. I'm wanting to get these windows done this week if possible. But as you can see, these joints here and here, they are fully sanded. There are, well, where the windscreen wiper went, which is here. I didn't like it. There was a big hole there. That's now filled in. Everything, once it's sanded, should look really good. So I'm very pleased the way that this is turning out. This particular one is structurally better than that one is. So I've been able to do a lot more work on this one. But so far, everything is running smoothly. Of course, the only thing I've got to do yet is to place another one of those brackets, which is there, into there. I'm going to pot rivet that on and also cold weld as well, so then it gives it some strength. But I think overall, everything's looking good. So the next stage you will see is it all finished and sanded, and we'll then move on to etch primer, primer, filler primer, back onto primer, and then back into metallic. And then with a bit of luck, everything should look pretty good. So we'll leave it at that, and I'll see you later. Welcome back. I apologise before I start because it is a windy day. It's too dark in the warehouse to film, so we thought we'd bring it outside. We do have some really nice modern mics, but unfortunately John's had them a month and he still can't make them work. So I apologise on behalf of him behind the camera because he's useless. Anyway, let's get going. So how far have I got with these windows? Yes, they've been a chore, John's been away, but it has given me a little bit more time to concentrate on making these windows look half good. So what have we got? I'm showing you the reverse of these windows before I show you the front side. We are on the home stretch with these, by the way. So as you know, they were all in bits like these here. Now they're all together and they're all sanded. These have been brazed into position, which obviously worked well. All the holes to a certain degree have been filled. Some that I'm not so sure about and some that I am sure about I've left. So I'm going to show you the next bit. So as you can see, I've used the adhesive, and you saw that in the last bit, the last clip. I used the adhesive to go all the way around. There's also the silicone as the final bit, which I'm going to show you right now. And I'm going to show you what it looks like finished. There you have it. So that is one finished side. So what I did is I used 3 coats of primer, I used a filler primer, I flatted it all down, and then I used the metallic, and then I used lacquer on the top just to give it more protection. I know we do 5 miles an hour on the canal, and it's not going to get wind blasted, but it's going to see a lot of weather. So I thought if I lacquer it as well, it's going to be an extra coat. But, oh, and of course, what I did is I masked all the glass, and then I masked the framework, and then I put a final quality silicone in black to imitate the gasket, or whatever you call it, that's the rubber gasket that goes to hold a window in, which I cannot find, to make it look like it's a gasket. And what do you think? I think that looks pretty good. Well, I'm impressed with it anyway. So that's one. These have obviously got the original holes in. And if I just leave that one there for 1 second. Same with this side. That's also ready for primer and what have you. But on this side, this also is completed, as you can see. Now you'll notice that at the very top, there are no holes at all. Those I'm going to have to re-drill once we get to the stage of putting the canopy up. I can judge where the original holes go, and then I can mark them, and then I can drill them. So there's no urgency with those at this stage. So as I said, we are on the final stretch with these main windows, and I think once they've been bolted together, which are with these pieces here that you can see in the middle, these I've only just cleaned up, but these pieces, I don't know whether you remember from the very beginning of this, what seems to be ages, John, doesn't it?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. If you can cast your mind back, unless John can fill in a bit of a clip somewhere, say over there, or over there, or just generally anywhere. He says he doesn't know how to get it up there or there, so he's gone there. You will see what they look like, how horrible they were to what they are now. These were riveted or screwed, or I mean there's loads of holes that I've not filled or what have you. I'm keeping these because we may have to use these to bolt the sides, the triangular sections of the side of the windows. We may have to use these to hold them together, but for now I'm not going to drill these until I absolutely know that I have to use them, because they are still a bit unsightly. And of course I can spray them like the windows, but I'm going to see if I can keep the clean lines of the windows as they are. So we're going to paint these and have them, but we're going to have them on reserve just in case we do have to use them. So what are we waiting for now? I've sort of come to a halt. I mean, I've filled and prepped these triangular sections that you can see here. I've also numbered them. I don't know whether you can pick that up. So for example, 6 there. So I know that those two go together. So once we've made the once we've got the Perspex back, I've got some 5mm Perspex to come. I've not gone down the glass route. There's a guy on this industrial estate here that's happy to help me out. I've seen the actual product. It looks like glass, to be honest, and it blends in with this very nicely. And they are only small when all said and done. So I'm going to use the Perspex. Once those arrive, then of course I will do the same as what I've done with this. So at the moment we're sort of I'm sort of having to wait until he gets me these this Perspex. So as you already know, they are already done and they're waiting for the Perspex to arrive. So that's another job sorted. And yesterday I started on, well, you did see, I think, a clip of the hatch being started. Well, the hatch.
3 episodes ago.
Is it 3 episodes?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the hatch is finished to a certain degree. Well, as far as we can go. That is filled, strengthened, structure's good. They are there for 2 reasons. One is to make it more rigid, so then it's not flexing and we don't get any spider cracking. Fortunately for me, there is very little spider cracking on here, so it's a nice bit of salvageable hatch. I've tried to find a new one, but to be honest, very difficult to find something that matches the shape of what we've got to play with. So I've ended up, while I've had the time to do it, I've filled, and that is now ready to go. Those there are there because we're going to put some insulation like we did with the interior of the boat, and then there's a possibility that I might use the oak ply to make a nice top to it, so when you look up, it's aesthetically, it's nice to the eye. So I've not been slouching about, and I know it's dragging on this episode, and I know you'll be relieved to see it, but it has been worth it. I have had a lot of high and low points with these windows, but I think finally I've managed to struggle through. So for now, I shall get on with some work. We'll see you later. Good. Right. At long last, it's time to bring this episode to a close. Bit premature possibly, but you've seen the paint method that I do. and everything to create a half decent window. So what I've done today is we've managed to get the Perspex from somebody on this industrial estate called Divine Signs. I will put a link to their website on this episode, so you can see where I got this this Perspex from. They've cut it to the shapes, the templates that they gave them, and they're going to fit quite nicely. I can get it to fit in the bathroom and the kitchen, which is over there. That's going to fit quite nicely. There's a possibility, once I find some vents, that I will then cut out the vents myself. But at the moment, I've left them solid deliberately because I'm just debating whether I might need them or not. So, hence the reason why you don't see a hole there. So they're going to be put into position. As you can tell, the stages of getting these windows together, I have used Sikaflex 291, and I've done 2 coats. One I did yesterday to place this. I squirted, as you saw with the main window, I squirted that 291 into these cavities and then squashed those onto the Perspex. And then this morning I've done a bead all the way around and then pushed it all in. So then once this sets, it will be nice and solid. Once they are solid, then we can go on to the next stage, which is starting to make these windows look like windows. So they will get to a solid state, which is what this one is. And then I can start filling in the joints around the holes that were there, etc., etc. And then once I've done that, I can then put some filler primer on, and then the grey primer, which is all Rust-Oleum, remember. And once that is all done, we can get them sprayed metallic, and then we can put some lacquer on them, and then they are done. And we can then move on. So, did I mention Divine Signs?
You did, yes.
Thank you, that's all. I just wanted to make sure, because they've done a real favour for me for doing this. It's 5mm Perspex, and they did it in a very quick turnaround. So thank you very much for doing those for me. I do appreciate it. So, all I can say is thank you so much for waiting. I know it's been a long drawn out thing, and there's been such a gap between one episode and this one, but this one has been quite a mammoth task to get sorted. But I think once we've got them bolted together, which you will see very soon, because we are going to be putting some cream on the upper section of that boat, because these windows will be done, we can get them in position, and then we can start putting some paint on, and then start putting the windows that we've completed already. We can get the window seals and get the boat nice and watertight, and then we can start making that boat look like it's nearly complete. Well, to a certain degree. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks a lot.